Hi, everyone. This is Ane. I'm a diplomat in veterinary neurology.
Hi, I'm Joao. I'm a diplomat in veterinary cardiology.
And this is to vet or not to vet.
What is your question?
Okay, so the question that we have tonight is from one of our listeners that she's asking is again regarding the residencies, why more experienced general practitioners seems to be less attractive when we are choosing for a resident. My understanding is that you have someone that finished vet school and then has been working 6-7 years in general practice. They have a lot of good hands to do, for example, certain surgeries, even to advanced orthopedic surgeries, but then they go and apply for a residency and they don't get the residency. So what do you think that are the things that we need to kind of a little bit pull out of that and talk about this section?
I think it's a really, really great question, and thank you. And it is a complex one, isn't it? And so I'll start by saying that there's always a component of the individual, obviously, and we won't focus on that just now. But the residencies that a person is applying to will have a wanting of a certain type of resident. So, for instance, if you very well staffed and you really like teaching, you probably would like someone that is quite green, okay? And so someone that you can almost mold and get them through from, let's say, level 1, okay? I think if you are in a place where you need the resident to become as quickly as possible, an active part of the clinical body, then I think you may be looking then for someone which is a little bit more experienced. And this is why, and you and I have probably followed quite a lot of interns that eventually got a residency. And this is why it is sometimes difficult to understand why you get one residency and then you don't get the other. And I think as people, the people that are choosing the residents are influenced by their previous experiences. So, for instance, if you have a resident that was super green and it took ages for, I said it took 1.5 years for it to start being an active participant of the clinical and taking a lot of responsibility, you may then choose your next resident as someone that's a little bit more experienced. And on the other hand, if you start with someone that is already very experienced and set in its own ways, and resists the challenging and the process of learning, you may then, the next resident, choose someone that's a bit more green and more easily. So quite a complex one. What do you think?
I think that there are two very, very important concepts that I have realized more as I got many more residents. The goal of the residency is to have your credentials, which it means that in most of the residencies, you need to publish 2 pre-review papers and do some research, whether prospective, retrospective, but just not a case report. You need to have a study, and you need to sit, study, and pass an extremely difficult exam. So when you're choosing a resident, obviously, apart from what you say that you need a person to see cases with more or less experience, depends on your previous experience and the previous resident, you need someone that you know that he can multitask, go ahead and publish those 2 papers, sit the exam and pass the exam. Because if your resident doesn't pass your exam, your residency is going to be in trouble and your diploma is going to be in trouble. And we know all that study, the more older you get, the most difficult is to sit down and study again, and also to write papers. So I personally, if I have someone that is coming from a GP and has been very active on writing some papers, on going to meetings, studying and passing some exams, that person is showing me by their CV that they have what it takes to be a resident. Why do I think that maybe someone fresh from a school is a little bit ready? Just by the simple fact that when you are at school, you need to study, right? And pass the exam, and then you will think that someone a little bit younger, they have a little bit more time to also do all these things that you need to do during your residency. And that, I think, is something that some people, when they apply for residency, they don't think that much, particularly when they've been in private practice. They don't realize that you're going to need to be writing papers and you're going to need to be studying. And sometimes it can get a little bit more complicated when you've been 10 years in GP practice. You may have your family, you don't want to move your house, you don't want to move your kids from school. Is that the right thing? It's not the right thing that the way that our residencies are set up are like this, but we are not yet in a residency programs where we have that many residents that you can have, like, I would say, a better quality of life as a resident, should we say?
We're really working. I mean, I know everyone is taking that more into consideration now, but so let's try and help let's say that we have our GPs that would potentially like to go for residency and they've tried a few and they didn't make it. And I suppose the important thing would be understand the group that you're going to join. Okay, so know what the emphasis is, know their research interest, and make sure that even before the application, that you show an interest in supporting them with that. Because like you said, Ane, I think that's a very wise, we used to say that a residency in the first year, you just want to hang out with your supervisors because they're like super cool and they know everything. The second year, start stressing a little bit and you just want to kind of get it done. By the third year, you want to get your papers done and your exam passed and you want to get out of there because it is incredibly heavy, like you said. So I think it would be important for the ones that are listening to us that are in this situation to 100%. Prepare a little bit and do not undermine the value that having years of experience as a GP will bring. Reinforce that you're extremely experienced, that you've handled with a lot of people, that you can manage and be managed, and that the fact that you've worked with for many years with a lot of people will hopefully prepare you for being a part of a team that they'll be joining. But like you say, Ane, understand what the residency is. A residency is not doing a bit of clinical work for 3 years and you get a diploma in the end. You're absolutely right. There is a lot of research, there is a lot of reading, there is a lot of teaching and being taught, and eventually then passing an exam. And it is possible that what we are hearing with a GP being more experienced is actually a bias of the word. So it isn't actually that the problem is that you are experienced, because you should reinforce that is a good thing, but you may have, exactly like you said, less availability for the dedication that it is indeed extreme during a process of training.
And I think that the point for the experience, and when I interview residents, or people want to be a resident that have a lot of experience, they put a lot of emphasis, which is extremely important to have experience. But what I want is not particular experience in neurology, because that is what we're going to be teaching them. I want obviously experience to speak with difficult owners, difficult patients, manage stress, manage a stressful situation, multitasking. With that, obviously, the more experience, the merrier. So we will welcome that. But as you said, if someone is coming to do a residency in cardiology, if they tell you, oh, I'm already doing pacemakers, you're going to be okay. Well, then go and do your thing. Like what you want to be, you don't need someone that is coming to your residency doing pacemakers. The residency is a training program. It's not a clinician that is being there, be paid much less, because no, they are there to be taught. So I think that that experience needs to be in the right kind of place, right?
And for our own credit, Annie, I mean, I've had experience of that in the past during my training, where I worked with someone that was incredibly well established, a cardiologist already, so obviously able to scan. But the amount of learning that we did together, and I came fresh out of my internship, and the amount of learning, practically, he was really experienced, really well prepared. So his scanning was obviously, and he was teaching me how to scan. But then on the basic concepts and some of the reading, we learned a lot together. And so I think it is important that, for instance, for cardiology, a resident that can already scan well, that's great. I'm probably going to have to, if I'm honest, change some of the habits of the scanning, because we can see the difference. And I believe in the training that a specialist provides. I really do. Otherwise we wouldn't be involved in training if we didn't believe that we are creating better clinicians through the process of going through residency. I think we believe in the process, and that's why we offer it. But I think it is having a little bit of experience is probably very good. But if you do have that, when you're interviewing, we just need to highlight that despite the fact that you have a lot of experience, and that can only be a positive, you are also available for all that it will need to be done during a residency, which is, like you say, handling stressful situations, multitasking. So someone with a lot of experience, they will hopefully be able to multitask and not be so overwhelmed with a very heavy caseload. For you, I mean, I would assume that not a lot of cardiologists that will come. I've never met a cardiologist that would consider, or someone that considers a residency that could do pacemakers or balloon valvoplasties, but scanning they do. You wouldn't have residents that are already operating, would you?
Well, no. There is people sometimes that they are working in another country and they are doing some orthopedic surgery and some spine surgery.
And that's the other thing. There are alternative programs. Do you have alternative programs in your college? No, we do, which is they're not a lot of them, because it is a much harder way to train someone. So someone that basically doesn't have to be with you at all times. They come and visit for a period, and that's very complex, because even with regards to legality, to insurance, to how do you get someone that needs to be insured in your practice, and for case continuity, if you're just going to be here for a month, you see a case, you don't see it coming back. So I do think that I think we still, as specialists, believe that the 3 years in close proximity with a team of specialists is the way to get you to a standard that would be considered to be specialist.
So I think that, let's kind of wrap it a little bit through the question. If you're a general practitioner that wants to get into the residency, I think that you should go for it, but you need to know your value and your worth. Indeed, is the experience managing all these difficult, probably clients, stressful situations, but you need to show, not by words, by your CV, because nothing says better than your CV. When you have published cases, when I don't care where the resident is coming from, if on their CV I can see that they have published pre-review papers, I know that they can sit down in front of a computer, focus, study, learn, and get things done. That is the best way. And then if you have more experience in the specialty, that's great. So if that's what you would like to do, for me, the best thing is start publishing. And you start publishing by something little. We can maybe talk in another video, how do you get to publish into a pre-review paper? Where do you start from? That's the first thing. And then visit the practice where you want to apply. So as Joao said, you need to know what residency you are applying to. If they are looking someone with more experience, less experience, what is the research? So you can also get a little bit into that. And then be ready, I guess, to live your life a little bit on the side for 3 years, right? Unfortunately.
I think so, I think both you and I are very happy specialists. Was it a difficult time of our lives? Of course it was, but you learned a lot, and that was very positive. And we believe that we provide care to our patients and to the pet parents or the guardians that come and ask us for help. And I think it's a wonderful thing to be a specialist. So I think even if you're a very experienced GP, I think you should put your name in the hat and try and understand that you bring a lot of good with your experience, but absolutely you may need to compensate for if there isn't a lot of publications, while someone that has a lot of publications and just came out of a residency, published something as an intern, but yet doesn't have the technical skills that someone more experienced would have. They would have to reinforce the fact that they are able to or are willing to pick up and get the technical skills.
Exactly. Someone that doesn't have that experience, they're going to need to show the papers, but they need to show that they're going to be able to fly alone. So yeah, I think that's very good. Thank you so much, guys, for being there. Hopefully that helps.